So this is our bin. This is our bottom bin and our top bin. Remember the top bin? We have holes on the side. It's black, so it's a little bit hard to see. We have holes on the side, and we have holes on the bottom that is the leachate is dripping through, okay? And this one is intact, no holes. It's just holding the leachate, and it's got like two like cinder block kind of bricks in here, so it makes this one stand up, okay? And remember, we put about a ½ inch of water in at the very beginning, just so that there could be some natural air conditioning as the wind, you know, blows through or does whatever. It just kind of keeps it cooler. So when you open it, this started with pretty much all newspaper bedding. You can see okay. And of course, this is the blanket on top. We have been feeding this about once a week, maybe. We cleaned it up a little bit just for this. But here's your bedding, and then you can put that aside, okay? And then here is all this black stuff. This is worm castings. None of this was in here before we started. This was mostly newspaper. But you guys can see, can you start seeing some of the worms in here? Okay. So all of this, and I'm telling you, Tiffany is holding this, this camera. She can vouch for how smelly it is.
I can't smell it.
It's really not very smelly at all. And so here's a worm for us. I name all my worms George because I can't tell them apart. But I mean, they literally, and you can see another one here, they literally are different sizes because they are, you know, they come out of the cocoon and they're babies and they grow. And worms live, I've read different things. I've read up to a year or two. I've read up to 5 years. I don't know what to say, but they live a while and I think they're really happy in here. The bottom line is once you open it, they start crawling down to the bottom. They can tell light. They do get annoyed. They don't want to be bothered. But you can see all these castings. This is just like dirt. So when I said at the very beginning, if you're grossed out by that picture, well, if you garden, you're probably not grossed out because you probably are used to having your hands in dirt, right? And that's exactly what this is like. This is just like dirt. And the worms are just happy in here. They just want to just be tucked in here. And so what we do is we just make sure and feed them every now and then. And we put the blankie back on top to keep it moist, dark, and cool. And then we put the lid back on. And that's it. I mean, that's a working worm bin. Any questions after seeing that?
Yes, there's a couple questions. Do you have to keep checking the bottom bin to see if the leachate is overflowing into the worm bin?
You don't have to. I've never seen it even come close to overflowing. I've never seen it more than a third of the way up, maybe even half tops, but no. It's, you have it because there will be some dripping from the food. And so you need to have something for it to drip into, but no, it's never going to get that full. You don't have to worry about that.
And then, oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Are you ready for the next question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Are there pieces of screen over the holes?
Yes. So we can show you that again if you don't mind. One thing I was going to say when you were saying, do we have to check? You don't have to check about water overflowing, but I will tell you that sometimes the worms, see, we have screen on the side here, and we've hot glued it as well as we can. I'm telling you, worms can still get in there. And on the bottom where we have the holes in the bottom for the leachate to drip through, there are screens. It's hard to dig through because it's so dark down here, and yeah, I just don't know if you'll be able to see it anyway, but there's screen down there. But here's the deal. The worms will get through there. And so you're saying, should we check it for leachate getting too high? No, but do you want to check it for worms crawling through every now and then? Yeah, worms are, you know, they're like us. They get a little frisky. And if the temperature is just right, you do find that they crawl around a lot more. When it's hot, they just kind of find a cool place. When it's cold, they kind of find a warm place. But when it's in the 60s or something, you know, I swear there's something about it. When I open it up, I will see them on the side. I'll see them trying to crawl through the bottom. If I lift this up, you know, theoretically, my one at home, I'll lift it up and I might see some on the bottom, on the outside. They've crawled through the screen. They get all excited. They're like, you know, they're like Chicagoans in the summer. They want out. But people have said, will they get out? They won't. They do not want the light. You do not have to worry about it. I've brought mine inside my house many times. You don't have to worry about the smell if you don't put meat or dairy. And you don't have to worry about them crawling out. They don't want the light. They're going to avoid that. They're just going to crawl around their space and see what's going on in their little bins.
What is the process of harvesting like? Do you have them crawl through the bins or place them on top to burrow into a new compost?
So I turn it upside down. I prepare my new one. And as they're turned upside down, they're all starting to crawl down to the bottom. And that, as I'm preparing my new one, they're all crawling down to the bottom. So what's it really like? It's a lot of handwork. I've done it with gloves, but the truth is, gloves don't make it as tactile to like grab a worm. And it's honestly, I think, harder to do it with gloves, but you might want to use gloves. But the bottom line is, you just got to pull the worm out from the casting and put it back in the bin that you've remade. As you dumped out the old one, you've remade this one again. And so you're going to put it back in there. They're going to have their new home, and you're going to separate the castings from the worms. And like I said before, the castings you can put in a pail, you can put in a bucket. I use Ziploc bags. I just have a nice full Ziploc bag when I'm done. Whatever you want to use. It's a little tedious. And if some kids and stuff like that might be freaked out. They might think it's gross. My daughter is horrified. But it's honestly no big deal. Worms, they just want to crawl away from you. They're not really looking to do anything to you. So just pick it up and put it in the thing, put it in the next bin. And the castings you're going to put aside in whatever bucket or bag you have for the castings. It's tedious. You want to do it in nice weather because you're going to be there a while. But it's not hard work. It's just sitting there and doing it.